The first sensation isn't fear. It isn't even the enemy. It's the impact. The Pacific surf slams into Corporal Tony Stein's chest like a sledgehammer made of ice. It knocks the wind out of him before he even steps on the island. You expect the tropics to be warm, like the postcards, but this is February. The ocean soaking through his fatigues is freezing cold, tightening his muscles, making his teeth chatter uncontrollably against the mouthpiece of his radio.
Iwo Jima, D-Day, H-hour +5. The sky is a flat, oppressive gray, hanging low over the island like a shroud. There is no sun here, just a dull, metallic glare reflecting off the water. The air is thick, tasting of salt spray mixed with the oily, nauseating reek of unburned diesel fuel spewing from the landing craft engines.
And then you hit the beach, or what passes for a beach. Your eyes tell you it's sand, but your feet tell you it's a trap. It's ash, black, coarse, volcanic ash. You take a step and your boots sink 6 inches deep. It sucks you down. It grabs your ankles. It feels like trying to run through wet cement while wearing lead weights. Every step is a negotiation with gravity. The grit gets inside your boots instantly. Sharp, jagged little glass shards of volcanic rock that start grinding the skin off your heels with every lurch forward.
Stein fights his way up the first terrace. He's soaked to the bone, shivering from the ocean spray, yet sweating profusely under the load. And the load is wrong.
It's not a rifle. It weighs 25 pounds. It's a slab of cold, wet steel digging into his shoulder, held together by a makeshift web strap that cuts off the circulation in his arm. It doesn't look like anything issued by the quartermaster. It looks like a piece of aircraft wreckage he stole from a scrapyard.
The men around him are carrying M1 Garands, light and balanced. Stein is lugging a monstrosity. The receiver is drilled full of holes. The stock looks grafted on like a broken bone set wrong. He drags his boots out of the black sucking mud, planting one foot after another, lungs burning from the effort, hauling this mystery machine toward the sound of the bunkers.
He's not just fighting the Japanese. He's fighting the island itself. And he's praying to God that this hunk of modified scrap metal actually works when he pulls the trigger.
The Marine advance is stalled at the dune line. The Japanese pillboxes are invisible, dug deep into the volcanic rock, reinforced with concrete and palm logs. They are hammering the beach terrace with coordinated machine gun fire. The standard American response is rhythmic and desperate. You can hear the distinct slow chug of the Browning automatic rifles, the bars, trying to suppress the enemy positions.
It's the soundtrack of the Pacific War. Thump, thump, thump. Steady, predictable, 500 rounds a minute. The Japanese defenders know this rhythm. They know exactly how long they have to duck between bursts. They count the beats. They pop up, fire, and drop back down. It's a stalemate bought with blood.
Then Corporal Stein crests the ridge. He is exposed. He swings the heavy muzzle of his improvised weapon toward the dark aperture of the nearest pillbox. He doesn't brace it on a bipod. He holds it at the hip, leveraging his weight forward.
He squeezes the trigger, and the soundtrack breaks.
It isn't a rat-a-tat-tat. It is a scream, a continuous, terrifying roar. The weapon cycles at a staggering 1,350 rounds per minute. That is 22 rounds every single second. It is more than double the speed of anything else on the beach. It is triple the speed of the bar.
The muzzle flash blinds him. It's a white-hot strobe light pulsating inches from his face, searing his retinas. The smoke is instantaneous, a thick, white cloud of burning cordite that stings his nose and tastes like acid in the back of his throat.
Down in the bunker, the Japanese defenders don't duck. They freeze. They look up.
They look up because that sound, that insane rate of fire, doesn't belong to an infantryman. That is the sound of an aircraft's wing cannons. For a split second, the defenders are paralyzed by a tactical impossibility. They think they are being strafed by a fighter plane diving right on top of their heads. They are waiting for the bomb.
But there's no plane. Just a soaked, angry corporal from Ohio standing in the black grit, delivering air superiority from the hip. The high-velocity rounds don't just hit the pillbox, it disintegrates it. Sandbags explode, concrete chips away in a cloud of dust. The sheer volume of lead turns the air inside the bunker into a blender.
And just as fast as it started, it stops. The silence that follows is heavy. Stein stands there, his ears ringing, deafened by his own weapon. The gun is smoking in his hands, literally smoking. The heat radiating off the barrel is intense enough to distort the air around it. He can feel the temperature spiking through his heavy gloves.
He pulls the trigger again. Nothing. Just a dry, hollow click.
He looks down at the belt. It's gone, vaporized. A 100-round belt, heavy enough to bruise your hips when you run, consumed in exactly 4.4 seconds.
That is the brutal mathematics of the Stinger. Total destruction, delivered instantly, but at a gluttonous cost. Stein realizes the nightmare. To keep this beast fed, he can't just stay here. He has to go back through the mortar fire, back to the beach.
And he realizes something else. His boots are heavy. They are full of sand. They are slowing him down. If he wants to survive the next run, he's going to have to shed some weight.
The Stinger stops screaming. The silence that follows isn't peaceful. It's heavy. It hits the eardrums like a physical blow. The world seems to tilt on its axis. Stein stands there, rooted in the ash. He is shaking, not from fear, but from the physics of what just happened.
The recoil didn't just push him, it hammered him. Without a tripod, he had to use his own skeleton as the mount. The vibration shook his spine like an iron tuning fork. His boots skidded back inches in the dirt with each microsecond of fire. His elbows feel like they are about to snap. His shoulder burns with a deep molten agony where the strap cut into the muscle.
He looks at the weapon. It is smoking in his hands, literally smoking. The heat radiating off the barrel is intense enough to distort the air around it, creating a shimmering mirage heat haze that blurs the battlefield. The smell hits him hard. Burning paint, cooking cosmoline oil, and the sick, sweet stench of charred leather gloves.
He pulls the trigger again, instinctively. He wants more. Click. Nothing. Just a dry, hollow, mechanical failure. The firing pin hitting empty air.
This is the brutal mathematics of the Stinger. That terrifying roar comes at a price. A standard infantry machine gun can sustain fire for minutes. A BAR gunner can tap out rounds all day. But Stein's weapon operates on a different clock. It devours ammunition at 22 rounds every single second.
He looks down at the ammo belt hanging from the receiver. It's gone, not spent, annihilated. A 100-round belt, a heavy brass coil that weighs nearly 7 pounds, vaporized in exactly 4.4 seconds.
7 pounds of lead and logistics gone in less than the time it takes to draw a breath. It cuts through concrete like a sewing machine punching through wet paper, but it eats like a starving animal. Stein does the math in his head. The supply dump is 300 yards behind him, back down the terrace, back across the open sand, back through the mortar fire.
He wipes volcanic ash from his mouth. He spits a mixture of saliva and blood. He looks at the empty gun, then back at the beach. He doesn't look like a soldier contemplating tactics. He looks like a man who just realized he has to run a marathon through hell while carrying an anvil.
The weapon demands to be fed, and it doesn't care if you are tired. Stein slings the hot weapon over his shoulder. It feels like strapping an open furnace to his back. The metal sears against his wet fatigues.
"I gotta load the bastard again," he mutters. He doesn't wait for orders. He turns around. He starts to run. And as his boots sink into the black sand, we have to pause. To understand why a corporal would risk his life to feed a mechanical monster like this, we have to leave the black sands of Iwo Jima. We have to go back to where the monster was born.
Flashback, Camp Tarawa, Hawaii, November 1944, 3 months before the Black Sands. To understand the weapon, you have to understand the frustration that birthed it. The 5th Marine Division is training for the invasion. The landscape here is lush, green, and deceptively peaceful, but the mood is poisonous.
Sergeant Mel Grevich and Corporal Tony Stein are walking through a naval scrapyard on the edge of the airfield. It's a graveyard of giants. Twisted aluminum skeletons of F-4U Corsairs and SBD Dauntless dive bombers that didn't make it back intact. The air is heavy and wet, smelling of rotting orchids, oxidizing aluminum, and old high-octane aviation fuel. It's quiet here, too quiet.
But in the distance, they hear the sound of the standard infantry training. It's the M1919 Browning .30 caliber, the backbone of the Marine Corps.
Listen to it. Tuk, tuk, tuk. It's polite, it's rhythmic. It sounds like a damn typewriter. Grevich stops walking. He kicks a piece of rusted metal. He hates that sound. He's seen what happens in the islands.
The math of the M1919 is fatal. It cycles at roughly 500 rounds per minute. That's about 8 rounds a second. To a civilian, that sounds fast. To a veteran facing a Japanese pillbox, it is an eternity. Between each tuk and tuk, there is a gap of silence, a fraction of a second where no lead is flying.
And the Japanese gunners are smart. They know the rhythm. They count the beats. In those gaps of silence, a defender can duck, change a magazine, or pop up and put a bullet in your chest. The M1 1919 doesn't suppress the enemy. It just knocks on their door and asks them to keep their heads down. Grevich knows that on Iwo Jima, knocking won't work. He needs something that kicks the door off the hinges and saws the house in half.
Grevich stops in front of a wrecked SBD Dauntless. The fuselage is shredded by flak, but the wings are intact. He points to the leading edge, where a black perforated steel snout protrudes from the aluminum skin.
He looks at Stein and says, That's what we need. I'm tired of typewriters. I want a buzzsaw."
It is the AN-M2.30 caliber machine gun, the Army-Navy Model 2. It looks like an M1919, but that is a deception. The internal receiver is drilled out like Swiss cheese to save weight. The recoil spring is tighter. The mechanism is tuned for the freezing air of high altitude. It is a thoroughbred racehorse compared to the mule of the infantry.
Stein runs a hand over the cold steel of the wing gun. He feels the difference. This isn't a tool for suppression. This is a tool for erasure. But there's a problem. This gun wasn't meant to be held by a human. It was meant to be bolted to a spar and fired by a plane. taking it off the wing isn't just against regulations, it's against physics.
Grevich doesn't care about physics or regulations. He looks at Stein, the former tool and die maker, and nods. They aren't going to fill out a requisition form. They are going to commit a theft. The Quonset hut is a furnace, a steel coffin sweating under the Pacific sun. Inside, Grevich and Stein are crowded around a workbench like priests around an altar where a forbidden ritual is taking place.
In the center lies the thing, the AN-M2 receiver. It doesn't look like a weapon anymore. It looks like an organ torn out of a steel animal. Hollow channels drilled through the body like veins, edges shaved to the point of fragility. It is a metal skeleton engineered to breathe freezing air at 20,000 feet.
Stein lifts it. It feels wrong, too light, too eager. He brings forward an M1 Garand stock, warm, oiled wood darkened by sweat. The moment the two touch, the hut goes silent. Aircraft soul, infantry body. It's not a combination, it's a violation.
Stein begins carving. He is a toolmaker from Ohio. He doesn't trust his eyes. He trusts his hands. He shaves curls of walnut away, forcing a square peg into a round hole. But then they hit the engineering wall. The aircraft gun has no trigger. It fires via an electric solenoid button in the cockpit. Stein doesn't have a battery.
So they have to hack the heart of the machine. Grevich grinds down a piece of scrap steel. He fabricates a crude mechanical lever that bypasses the electronics and physically forces the sear to drop. No safety, no buffer, no kindness. You bump this thing, Grevich mutters. It empties a belt into whatever's in front of it.
They step back. They have built a weapon that disobeys design, doctrine, and common sense. A weapon that screams, "Feed me!" Jack sets the stinger down gently. He taps the barrel shroud.
That hollow ring, that's the gun telling you it's missing something. Wind.
The AN-M2 relies on a 300-mile-per-hour slipstream to keep from melting. On Iwo Jima, there is no wind, just 90-degree heat. So this gun will try to melt its own throat shut, and it will cook the man holding it from the inside out.
The hut suddenly feels smaller. The stinger isn't a tool. It's a pact with a demon. You get 4 seconds of godlike power, and in return, you pay in flesh. Stein touches the barrel. "It's not a machine gun, Sarge," he whispers. "It's a 4-second apocalypse."
Watch his hands. In the middle of this sweaty, loud workshop, Stein's movements change. They stop being frantic. They become precise. He runs a thumb over the fresh weld Grevich just laid down, feeling for the tiniest burr or imperfection.
This is the hidden variable. Corporal Tony Stein wasn't just another infantryman handed a rifle. Before the war, back in Dayton, Ohio, he was a professional tool and die maker.
And if you know anything about machining, you know that means he speaks the language of metal. He understands tolerances to the thousandth of an inch.
He knows that when you retrofit a gun firing at this insane rate of speed, vibration is the enemy. If the fit is loose, the gun shakes itself apart. If the fit is too tight, the heat seizes the action. He isn't just bolting scrap together, he is re-engineering the weapon's physics on the fly.
He scavenges a bipod from a BAR. He welds on crude iron sights from an old carbine. He checks the alignment, squinting against the dim light, his hands stained with blue machinist dye and grease. He trusts the weapon, because he knows exactly how the steel flows.
By the time the sun rises over Hawaii, they haven't just built a gun. They have built 6 of them. 6 Stingers. 6 Frankenstein monsters, born from wrecked planes and stolen parts, waiting to be unleashed on an island 3,000 miles away.
Snap back to Iwo Jima. The cool engineering phase is over. Now there is only the grind. Stein has fired his belt. The gun is empty.
And this is where the movie logic breaks down. In the films, the hero never runs out of ammo. In reality, Stein is standing hundreds of yards from the supply dump, holding a useless 25-pound paperweight.
So he runs. He turns his back on the enemy and sprints back toward the beach. He grabs fresh belts of .306 ammunition.
And we aren't talking about video game pickups. A single 100-round belt weighs nearly 7 pounds of brass and lead. Stein slings clusters of them over his shoulders. That is 20, maybe 30 pounds of dead weight slamming against his collarbone with every stride.
Then he runs back into the fire. This isn't a tactical maneuver anymore. It's an endurance event.
This is his second trip, then his third, then his fourth.
The black sand isn't just difficult to walk on, it's active. It's volcanic ash, and as the battle rages and the sun hits it, it gets hot, and it gets everywhere. It fills his boots. It works its way into his socks.
With every sprint, the grid acts like sandpaper. It grinds against the skin of his feet, shredding the heels, peeling away the calluses. Every step is a raw, stinging friction burn.
But he doesn't just run back empty. That's the crazy part. He runs to the fight with ammo, and he runs back to the beach carrying a wounded Marine on his shoulder. He turns himself into a human conveyor belt of war. Bullets one way, blood the other. By trip number 6, Stein collapses behind a shallow ridge. His chest is heaving. He looks down at his feet. The boots are caked in pounds of wet, heavy volcanic sludge. They are dragging him down into the earth.
They aren't boots anymore. They're anchors. Every time he lifts a leg, he's fighting the island, and the island is winning.
In the middle of a mortar barrage, he makes a decision that defies every regulation in the United States Marine Corps manual. He sits down.
He rips the laces open. He kicks the boots off. Then he peels off the grit-filled socks. Then he unbuckles his helmet and throws it into the mud. He strips away everything that slows him down.
He stands up, barefoot, on Iwo Jima.
Think about that surface. It's not a sandy beach. It's jagged volcanic rock scattered with hot shrapnel, spent brass casings, and burning metal. And he steps right onto it.
The visual is striking. Against the absolute black of the volcanic ash, you see the flash of white bandages and pale skin sprinting across the ridgeline.
He's sacrificing his skin for speed. He knows the only way to keep that hungry gun fed and his men alive is to move faster than the mud can grab him. He's not a soldier anymore. He's gone full berserker.
He is back on the line, feeding the 7th built into the receiver. But now the weapon itself is beginning to rebel. You have to remember the engineering. This gun was built to be mounted on a wing, flying at 300 miles per hour, in the freezing air of high altitude.
It relies on that wind to keep from melting. On the ground, in the stagnant, sulfurous air of Iwo Jima, there is no wind. There is nowhere for the heat to go.
The barrel temperature spikes past 1,000 degrees. Inside the perforated cooling jacket, the steel isn't just hot, it is glowing. A dull, ominous cherry red light pulses from inside the gun, visible even in the gray daylight. It has become a thermal bomb in his hands.
Stein is wearing heavy asbestos mittens, the kind used by machine gun crews to change hot barrels. They are thick, industrial gloves designed to stop fire, but they aren't enough.
The heat soaks through the layers of asbestos. It creates a convection oven inside the gloves.
His palms are blistering. The skin is cooking against the fabric. Every vibration of the gun sends a shock wave of agony up his arms. But he doesn't drop it. He squeezes the grip tighter. The weapon is trying to burn his hands off, and he is forcing it to keep singing.
The platoon is pinned. The order comes down the line to withdraw, to pull back to a defensive position, but the Japanese fire is too thick. Anyone who lifts their head is getting cut to pieces.
This is the moment. The universal instinct of every soldier since the dawn of time is to become one with the dirt, to dig a hole with your eyelids if you have to.
Stein ignores the instinct. He knows that to kill the bunkers, he needs to see the muzzle flashes. And to see the muzzle flashes, he has to rise.
He stands up, fully upright, exposed, a silhouette against the gray smoke. He is practically inviting every sniper on the island to take a shot. He steps into the open to draw their fire, turning himself into the bait.
As the enemy opens up on him, he spots them. He swings the smoking, glowing stinger toward the last pillbox. The weapon screams. The high-velocity rounds chew through the sandbags and shatter the reinforced concrete logs like dry kindling.
It's a buzzsaw. He walks the fire right into the aperture. And then, silence. The pillbox goes dark.
No screaming, no return fire, just the sound of dust settling and the smell of pulverized concrete.
By the time the smoke clears, the tally is staggering. 8 trips back to the beach. Hundreds of rounds of ammunition carried by hand. Multiple enemy fortifications destroyed, single-handedly, by a weapon that wasn't supposed to exist.
His platoon pulls back to safety. Stein is still standing, his feet bleeding, his hands burned, holding a gun that is slowly cooling back into a pile of scrap metal.
The stinger didn't vanish quietly. It went down screaming. After the battle, the bulldozers rolled in. The sky above the supply dump was the color of old steel. Dull, tired, worn down by weather and war. Supply officers, men with clipboards, clean uniforms, and deadlines, looked at these 6 weapons. They didn't see miracles. They didn't see the tool that cracked Iwo Jima.
They saw non-regulation debris, unauthorized modifications, scrap. Think about that. 6 of the most effective personal weapons ever built. Guns that single-handedly cleared beachheads, and some bureaucrat picked them up, looked at the welds Grevich made with his own sweat, and marked them with a grease pencil. Disposal ordered.
We can reconstruct the scene. The AN M2 receivers still had scorch marks where Tony Stein's asbestos gloves had smoked. A scar of melted bluing ran along the barrel jacket like a vein glowing beneath burned skin. But orders are orders. The bulldozer blade drops. It pushes the stingers into a mass grave of twisted aluminum and bent rifles.
It's a metallic scream. The sound of history being crushed under the treads of a Caterpillar tractor. Or maybe they were barged out to sea and dumped into the deep water to rust in the silence. Either way, they are gone. No museum has one. No collector owns one. They exist only in a few grainy black and white photos and in the nightmares of the men who heard them fire.
Stein got the Medal of Honor. It's a nice piece of gold. But the real monument, that is rusting somewhere at the bottom of the Pacific, right alongside the boots he left on the beach. The silence that follows isn't peace. It is the sound of history closing its throat.
But men like Tony Stein don't disappear. Not really. Not while there's someone left to say their name. Stein proved that sometimes the manual is just a suggestion. But he wasn't the only one. On Guadalcanal, another officer realized the Army's rifles weren't getting the job done.
If you like the brutality of the Stinger, you need to see the precision of the Winchester Model 70. Click right here to watch They Called It a Toy. See what happens when a deer hunter goes to war.
And a final question for the Legion before you deploy. Stein was a toolmaker. Grevich was a mechanic. Their civilian skills changed the war. I want to know yours. Millwright, master carpenter, diesel mechanic, welder, farmer. What was your trade before you served? Or what skill would you bring to the scrap heap? Let us know in the comments. The ghosts are listening. Don't make them wait.